You know I love a woodwind and brass combo, so what happens when you take flute and trumpet and add reeds? Magic! As a pair, they sound great. Add trumpet and you get a rich and compelling blend. In this video, I'll provide and discuss examples of clarinet, bass clarinet with flute and trumpet. And I've had some of my musician friends record a phrase I wrote, so you can hear how it sounds. Let's start with the B-flat clarinet and flute in unison. The clarinet has a super smooth tone and agility that pairs well with a lot of instruments. The combination of flute and clarinet in unison is a nice option that works well. The clarinet can play very softly, so there isn't a balance problem when the flute goes into its lower register. Here's an example from Ravel's Mother Goose Suite, 4th movement. And here it is with the melody I wrote. Smooth, isn't it? Let's hear it with the flute up an octave now. That places each instrument in a nice solid register respectively, and the flute gives the sound a nice floral edge. It's easier to hear the differences in their timbres like this. Something you'll see in a lot of orchestral or larger ensemble pieces is to have some sort of combination of unisons, octaves, and harmonies with the flute and clarinet. So here are the flutes and octaves, with the clarinet playing the lower octave as well. As you can guess, adding an instrument makes it stronger, and the blend is very effective. I've removed the slurs for easier reading. Here is the flute and clarinet in octaves, with a flute harmony part. And here is the flute and clarinet in octaves, with a second clarinet harmony part below the melody. The super smooth clarinets blend so well. And now the melody and harmony part doubled in octaves, with flutes on the top and clarinets on the bottom. Now it's time to add one of my favourite instruments, the bass clarinet. I love its dark and woody tone. This moment from the Rite of Spring with 2 bass clarinets is absolutely marvellous. The bass clarinet has a large range, but this example, even down an octave from the melody, shows the bass clarinet in its beautiful, slightly strained upper middle register. As the melody works its way down the octave, you can hear the tone become more solid. It's worth noting that the bass clarinet can get overpowered when in an orchestral or ensemble setting. Its woody darkness can be covered easily. Because of this, Gil Evans sometimes used 2 or even 3 bass clarinets in unison, or as in this example from My Ship, doubled it with a tuba or bass trombone. So we can hear what it sounds like in its lower register, I wrote a bass line to go with the example. Its dark tone is beautiful, isn't it? Let's hear the clarinet and bass clarinet in octaves first. This is a nice woody smooth sound. And let's add the flute back in, up the octave, so we have 3 octaves of the same melody. With the different timbres spread throughout the octaves, it takes on a more powerful sound. And now flute and B-flat clarinet in unison with bass clarinet an octave below. The flute will be harder to pick out in this one, as now we have 2 similar timbres in octaves against the lower range of the flute. And now so we can hear what it sounds like when the bass clarinet is on a different part, I'll change the bass clarinet to the bass melody. It's much easier to hear each distinct timbre that way. Okay, let's add some trumpet now. This is probably a texture you're most likely to hear in a modern jazz orchestra, but I did find a small part of Petrushka that had this combination. Thank you, Stravinsky. In this section he has 2 flutes with a clarinet an octave below, and another clarinet below that. A bass clarinet is providing some bass accompaniment. Then just for a quick moment, a C trumpet joins the melody 2 octaves below the first flute. As you can probably imagine, trumpet and clarinet in unison make a pleasant tone. The super smooth clarinet helps to level out the attack of the trumpet slightly, and it creates quite a strong harmonic at the octave, almost like there is a flute playing up the octave quietly. So let's hear it with the flute back in, up the octave. It adds some brilliance, but it's amazing how much of that pitch was already there. Have a listen to them right after each other. Interesting, isn't it? Okay, let's recall our Stravinsky example and add the bass clarinet in, on the melody an octave below. That's becoming quite powerful again. And let's hear it with the bass clarinet on the bass melody. Let's add a cup mute to the trumpet now. The smooth cup mute and the super smooth clarinet make for a nice sound. The balance of these two instruments would be quite nice in an acoustic situation. I think it has a nice old school sound that can work well in a jazz setting. In my Harmonizing Like Gil videos, I wrote a 5-part harmony for Anthropology with a B-flat clarinet and cup muted trumpet on the melody, and saxes on the harmony parts. With a harmon or straight mute in the trumpet, you'll get a lot less blend with the clarinet. This would be a very specific effect. Adding two flutes, one in unison and one up the octave, makes for an interesting sound and actually helps bring the clarinet and harmon muted trumpet together. In this final part of the video, I thought I'd try some more unusual combinations of the instruments and include some harmony parts. Let me know if you have any favourites. If you're enjoying the content, you can support me by purchasing PDFs and lessons. The link is in the description. Let's try flutes up an octave on the melody and first harmony part, B-flat clarinet on the melody, bass clarinet on the bass melody, and open B-flat trumpets on melody and all of the harmony parts. Isn't that rich? The bass clarinet can be heard nicely as it is in a lower tessitura than the other instruments. Here is a wacky idea. I'll try one with the least amount of blend as possible. I'll have the clarinet on the melody, trumpet on the first harmony part, and flute on the second harmony part up the octave. Bass clarinet can stay on its own bass melody. It's harder to pick out the melody, of course, as the trumpet is just below the clarinet, but it certainly is interesting and colourful with all of those timbres on different pitches. This time we'll swap the clarinet and trumpet, but we'll put a cut mute in the trumpet and change the bass clarinet to the melody an octave below to help support the muted trumpet melody. And let's have an interesting lush one to finish. Let's have 4 flutes on the melody and all harmony parts right in their low register. 2 B-flat clarinets, 1 on the melody and 1 on the first harmony part. 2 bass clarinets, 1 on the melody an octave down and another on the bass line. 4 trumpets on all parts with cut mutes and 1 on melody with a harmon mute. And we'll put in the pizzicato bass to add to the jazzy texture of it all. Well, I hope you enjoyed that and learned something. Thank you so much to the players, Hannah, Frederick, Patricio, and Gabrielle, and thanks to my supporters as well. If you'd like to support me and my work, a link is in the description.